From the air, the Earth's green lung looks like an endless, unspoiled primeval world. But the greed for raw materials has left deep wounds in the Amazon rainforest. Ana Rafaela D'Amico, the youngest national park director in Brazil, has declared war on the plundering.
Sometimes we feel powerless. We compare our struggle with that of guerrillas, but we are optimistic. I think if everyone does their bit, we will succeed. The world needs Amazonia. Try to circle here. Maybe we'll find something. Can you turn left so that we can see better? That's a natural clearing, not a garimpo.
Ana Rafaela is looking for an illegal tin mine, which is reported to be hidden under a canopy of leaves at a river. Apparently, there are at least 50 workers ransacking the national park, an ecological catastrophe. Although she has the exact GPS coordinates of the mine, there's nothing to be seen. However, before she can investigate the anonymous tip-off on the ground, she has to take a picture from the air. The garimpeiros, the mine workers, could be armed.
There's nothing there, no sign of a mine. If anything has been changed down there, it's well hidden under the treetops.
Their fuel is running out. It's starting to rain. They have to call off the search. The aim of the reconnaissance mission is to prepare a large-scale police operation which Ana Rafaela would carry out in the national park in the next 2 weeks. The aim is to drive poachers, wood thieves, and illegal settlers out of the nature reserve. On the way back to the state capital, Porto Velho, the scale of the tragedy of the Amazon rainforest becomes clear. This state alone, Rondônia, has lost around 40% of its forests in the last 10 years. The hidden treasures of the rainforest, gold, tin, precious woods, attract the poorest wretches and the corruptest racketeers.
The destruction is always faster than we are. The deforestation, the mines, these things happen before we can stop them. Sometimes we wonder if we'll ever succeed. We discover an area that's been damaged, and then the next time we go there, it has already become much bigger.
That's why it's so important to investigate every tip-off thoroughly. Even though they didn't find any proof of the suspected illegal tin mine from the air, Ana Rafaela will scour the area on the ground again with her team. CIPAM, the air surveillance headquarters in the state capital, Porto Velho. The raids in the rainforest are above all a logistical challenge. Ana Rafaela's team consists of around 20 people, geologists, biologists, environmental police, all young and highly motivated. They will be traveling through the ancient forest for 2 weeks. 2,600 kilometers of rivers and jungle tracks lie ahead of them. Armed federal police accompany them to protect them from violent poachers and wood thieves.
Mas a gente tem ticket cá.
Não, lá não aceita ticket, mas a gente abastece.
But she won't be fully cut off from the headquarters in the 800,000 hectares of the Campos Amazónicos National Park. Ana Rafaela can send out an emergency call at any time via satellite.
When we're traveling on the river instead of by car, this is how we contact the outside world. For example, if we need to get backup from the rest of the team, if we need assistance with an arrest.
Shortly before departure, Ana Rafaela is called to the high security wing. An official who analyzes aerial images has discovered something in the pictures by the Brazilian AWACS airplanes, and he wants to tell her about it.
So, Rafaela, we already discovered deforested areas here last year, but this year we have found new ones.
We already checked the whole area once and closed it off. But if he has cleared more forest, we will have to go back again.
It's 100 new hectares of cleared land on the same farm.
The convoy is on the road for about 300 kilometers before it reaches the area in question. Ever since the 60s, 2 million hectares of forest have been burned or cut down every year. At first, Brazil began conquering the enormous primeval forest in order to raise national living standards. People without land settled in a land without people, built roads, dams, and towns. Now it is 12:05 in Amazonia. Although around 600 illegal wood transporters are seized every year, more than a hectare of forest still dies every hour. Ana Rafaela wants to investigate the illegal logging seen on the satellite image right at the start of the operation.
The area here borders on the national park. One part is inside the park, one outside. This is where the clearing discovered by CIPAM lies. Almost 100 hectares have been cleared this year.
Just recently, there was rainforest here. Now there's a field of destruction. First, the enormous precious wood trees are uprooted, and then the less valuable trees are felled and subsequently burned. This is how the rainforest dies, hectare by hectare. 2 federal police officers stay back at the access road in case the plunderers try to escape. As so often happens when the authorities turn up, the owner isn't there.
Can someone call him for us? We have to talk to him about this area here.
Maybe you want to wait here. He'll be coming for lunch soon.
But it's a while till then.
He won't be away long. He's coming to lunch. I don't go into the forest when I don't know where he is. You can stay or go.
The woman is obviously hoping that the officials can't wait this long. After an hour of waiting in the scorching midday sun, Ana Rafaela decides to check herself. After just a few hundred meters, an older man comes towards them.
Good day. Are you Mr. Joao?
Yes.
Are you the owner of this land?
Yes, I am.
Then let's go a bit further so we can talk over there.
Mr. João, how many chainsaws do you have?
One, because I'm building a fence.
If we find something here that you haven't declared, we will confiscate it.
I only have one chainsaw.
Mr. Joao, let me explain something to you. We know from satellite images that there have been fresh logging activities here on your land. You can swear it's not true, but we have proof.
A gente já sabe que ele existe. Eu quero saber onde ele é. Entre metade do ano passado, agosto e setembro do ano passado.
We noticed that 98 hectares have been cleared between August last year and July this year.
De área aberta na sua propriedade. Tá?
Did you set this field on fire last year?
Você falou que queimou só ano passado.
Yes.
Were there still big trees at the time?
Yes.
Tudo bem. Mas é desmate.
That is unauthorized logging.
Não tem autorização.
My life consists of work and nothing else. I have to work to survive. I have never set foot inside a school. Today, I'm thankful for the fact that I'm already 59 and never turned to crime. My father said to me, "My son, respect the property of others. And this here is yours."
But Mr. João, do you have the title deeds for the land?
No, I don't.
Ana Rafaela suspects that Mr. João is a so-called orange, a frontman. Since small areas of land can be occupied legally by individuals in Brazil, large cattle breeders often send day laborers ahead to settle smaller plots and deforest the land. Once the land has been cleared, the cattle breeders buy it back from them. This way, bit by bit, they collect huge areas of land for cattle breeding and meat production. As a small farmer, Mr. João would have been allowed to clear 20% of his land, but only with a permit from the authorities, and only outside the protected area.
So I will fine you, just for the new area here, the 98 hectares you recently cleared. That's a fine of 490,000 reais.
Então essa multa vai dar, eu anotei aqui ainda, 490 mil.
I know, it's a large amount and you cannot pay it.
O senhor não vai ter condições de...
What you're saying there is unrealistic. We live from the forest. Do you think I would be here if I had 400,000 reais?
The ancient forest that Mr. João has cleared will never recover, that much is clear. It is also clear that he will never pay the 180,000 euro fine. He can appeal and delay the proceedings, but for fear of his life, he will never betray the large landowner behind him.
Our biggest problem here in the park, and all over the Amazon, is that we don't know who the men behind this environmental crime are. We only ever find the poor man hired to occupy or clear the land. But we seldom find out who is really behind it, who provides the money, or which politicians support and fund these criminal acts.
Organizando toda essa ação criminosa que está acontecendo.
Protecting a national park with 800,000 hectares of land is a noble task, in which Ana Rafaela cannot always rely on help from above. Just 1 week before the Campos Amazónicos was declared a nature protection area in 2006, it was divided up, officially in order to grow rice in part of the land. And now there's a road running through the savannah, which is used to smuggle drugs from Colombia to Brazil. The team's next task is to track down illegal wood transport in the area and set up roadblocks. To do so, they have to venture into the lion's den, Guatá. Guatá means ape in the local Indian language. It is the village with the highest concentration of contract killers in the whole of Brazil. Just this morning, a man's head was half blown off with a shotgun because of a dispute about a domestic pig. Guatá is a lawless place, but with a good communication system. The drivers of the wood transporters smelled a rat. No truck is in sight for miles. There's a feeling of lethargy about the place. The residents of Guatá have no time for the conservationists who have suddenly turned up from the capital.
Essas terras, reservas, all these nature reserves. Why do they want to leave these large old trees standing? They don't yield a profit. They're no use to anyone. Where are the ancient forests of the Americans and the Germans? They destroyed them. All the money they're now investing in Rondônia in Brazil, they would be better spending reforesting their own land. But why don't they do that? Because it would threaten their own industry, their existence.
The operation in Guatá turned out to be a fruitless expedition.
Renato, what do you think? Should we stay here or go on?
I think the people were warned we were coming. They stopped logging. There are no trucks on the road either. I think the best thing now is to return to the camp.
As soon as Ana Rafaela's troop withdraws, life goes back to normal. The people in Guatá feel that the conservationists curtail their freedom and limit the few opportunities they have to earn a living. Yet Ana Rafaela knows that she is dependent on the help of the population.
Unfortunately, some people don't understand the value of nature. It's so short-sighted. They think only of profit, of making a fast buck for themselves. If these people could only realize that they can profit from the forest without having to damage it, if only they were to use it sustainably, they would see that making a quick profit doesn't solve their problems. The colored areas here represent the various levels of logging in the region. As I said, this here is the critical area between Ribeirão and the park.
They have found shelter with a farmer and are now planning their next steps. Ana Rafaela would now like to check the smaller timber roots, one after another, but the team voices their doubts.
It will be the same as today. When we arrived, there was nothing to see. Everything gone. It will be the same elsewhere, everything hidden. Most of them will have been warned that we're coming.
That's why I suggest splitting up into 2 teams tomorrow so that we can cover a larger area.
The next morning, the demoralizing trip to Guatá is forgotten. Ana Rafaela no longer believes in setting up roadblocks and turning up unexpectedly in villages. Instead, she wants to explore smaller timber routes in the hope of catching thieves red-handed. They know from informers that there is an illegal deforestation in this area. After just a few hundred meters, the first signs appear.
We found petrol canisters and 2-stroke engine oil. You can hear chainsaws. There must be something there. We will approach as quietly as possible to surprise them. The police will go ahead to ensure our safety. They're going in where the petrol is.
We have to go through the thicket there.
They're really going for it. It can't just be one chainsaw. With all that petrol, there are several. If a shot is fired, throw yourselves on the ground. I know it is difficult, but... Cada árvore dessa que cai, dói na alma.
they come across children who are obviously watching over the supplies. Then, a day laborer.
I just work here.
And the other man? What's his name?
Oziel.
Oziel. Does the land belong to him?
The fazenda up there?
Does the land belong to him? That was really close. Is he the owner of the property?
He lives there. I don't know whether it belongs to him or to his father. I just work for him.
The policemen have found a second man.
Are you the owner of this land?
Do you live up there?
What's your name?
Oziel.
Do you have papers for the land?
No.
A logging permit for here? You neither, huh? Isn't there an area of cleared land up there?
No, none.
Searching for weapons.
There's nothing there.
What we do with you depends on whether you cooperate. You know what you have done is illegal. We will take you with us to the vehicles and then decide what to do.
I cleared the land to have a bit of pasture land. I know that the park begins further back. I won't touch anything there. I'm far away from the park borders. It's very difficult here. What am I supposed to do? We have to live, after all. I've built something up here. Now you come, and everything is forbidden.
Oziel has occupied the land for 5 years, but he doesn't have any papers for it. He's not allowed to fell trees without authorization, but he can only keep cattle and feed his family if he has cleared land. In addition, Oziel's land lies in the buffer zone on the edge of the national park. That will increase the fine he can expect dramatically. The people are not interested in the officials from the city and their laws. For Oziel and his wife, all that matters is what they can give their children to eat.
You don't understand. You can't even imagine how we suffer here. We wouldn't deforest the land if it wasn't necessary. If our circumstances in life were different, we wouldn't be here. If it was possible, we would live in the city.
Mais alguma coisa, Renato?
Let me explain. The law you have broken is called clearing or damaging the forest or other protected vegetation. We have to multiply the 53 hectares by 10,000 because we're here in Amazonia. The fine is actually 5,000 per hectare, but it's doubled here because the land borders with a nature reserve. That brings us up to a fine of 530,000 reais. I know that you cannot pay that, but you have the right to defend yourself, and then we'll see what can be done.
I work every day, sometimes for other people too, whatever. But a fine of 500,000. There's no way I can pay that. The land isn't even worth that much. And then the punishment.
Ana Rafaela knows that 200,000 euros is an inconceivable sum for these people. But she also knows that not much of Amazonia will remain if she lets off all the people she feels sorry for.
The law applies to everyone, rich or poor. We must implement the law and do our job for the sake of the forest. These are the moments when we really have to be cold-hearted. We cannot give in to our feelings if we want to save the Amazon rainforest.
When flying over the forest, Ana Rafaela spots illegal landing strips again and again. The secret drug trafficking locations are also registered by the air surveillance teams, but doing anything about them is difficult. By the time the authorities get to the sites, the smugglers have long since disappeared again. Today, they want to investigate a report of one of these landing strips.
There are two roads we have to monitor. One is deserted, with an old landing strip at the end. There is also a deserted house there. We have to check if it's being used. Renato will go there with the federal police.
We will go ahead. You should stay here until we're sure that there is no risk. When we get close to the target, we'll change positions. There's only one way, so we can't get lost. We just have to stay alert and keep our sights on the other's cars. Then you go ahead, because it could quickly turn into a tricky situation.
The next day, the team splits up. Together with the federal police, Renato will look for the drug dealer's illegal landing strip, which is supposed to be hidden in the savanna of the Campos Amazónicos National Park. They can only monitor the situation in the national park twice a year. The budget doesn't allow for any more. There are hardly any passable roads, so they mostly travel by river. Meanwhile, Ana Rafaela travels up the Rio Madeirinha with the environmental police. They will be on the river for 3 days. Their task is to track illegal fishermen and poachers, put up prohibition signs, and above all else, be alert. When Ana Rafaela took over the national park here a few years ago, the fish stocks of the Rio Madeirinha were severely depleted. Professional fishermen with nets and cooling equipment had been catching anything they could. But since the watercourse system in the park was placed under nature protection, the fishes can spawn again undisturbed. They patrol the river the whole day, but don't see any animals or people. No woodcutters, no poachers, no fishermen, just butterflies. Then, quite unexpectedly, they discover a boat near the riverbank.
Are you armed?
No.
Please take your fishing rod out of the water. We want to speak to you. This is a patrol. I want to know what you have in the boat. Do you have a fishing permit?
No, we don't have a permit.
No permit.
Are you professional fishermen?
No, we're not.
You need a fishing permit to fish with a net.
We can't use nets and reels?
Reels are banned for everyone. Nets are only for professional fishermen.
The law is clear. Law number 30 says that as an amateur, you may fish if you live on the river, but only for your own needs.
We have to look in the bag. Colares, can you please check the cool bags? There are 2 at the front. Empty?
One fish.
Are there more?
What sort of fish is that?
Hake.
Did you catch it here?
Yes.
Should we confiscate their equipment?
Put everything in the other boat, please. The nets, the bags.
As camas de pesca também.
A fishing permit would have cost the two men 60 reais, only 20 euros. But it takes 2 days to get to the town where the permits are issued.
Malhadeira também. Por favor, Isaac.
Just one fish during the whole patrol. For Ana Rafaela, a success.
To have been on the river all day and only meet 2 fishermen and 1 boat is incredible. It means our measures are working, and we have sharply reduced the illegal fishing in the protected area. At least this area is protected.
That's the problem with these signs.
So far, the signs beside the rivers have been well kept. If one fell down, people would put it back up.
When caught, again and again, poachers and wood thieves have claimed that they didn't know they were doing something illegal. That's why Ana Rafaela has ordered signs to be put up on the riverbanks prohibiting entry to the park without a permit. She focuses on educating people, and despite all the setbacks, ensuring the help of the population.
I hope that the park will still exist in many years, and above all, that the inhabitants here understand how important the forest is. I just know that once they realize the significance of this region, it will be much easier to protect Amazonia.
But Ana Rafaela's paradise is in danger. 3 new power plants are planned in the state of Rondônia. Large parts of the national park will have to be flooded in preparation. All Ana Rafaela's attempts to secure concessions in such projects have so far failed.
Essa acho que é uma dos piores desafios que a gente tem, porque foge muito do nosso controle.
That is the worst challenge for us, because it's not up to us. Protecting nature is not a priority for the government. The economy always comes first, along with industry and the country's development. Nature always comes second or third. Taking action in these conditions is very difficult. Nature conservation is not a priority and probably never will be. It's all about politics, and conservationists like me have little say. That is the thankless part of our job, because we rarely get a positive result.
Campos Amazónicos. 15,000 years ago, after the last ice age, an isolated savanna landscape emerged in the middle of the rainforest, with flora and fauna usually only found much further south in the Amazon region. A rainforest couldn't grow on the sandy ground, and of course you can't grow rice here either, as the government apparently once planned to do. The team, led by Renato, is en route here. The area is ideal for the drugs mafia to hide landing strips.
We can't take this road.
First, they find fresh tire tracks. Then, one of the trackers discovers something else.
Come here. Look at this hole.
They've dug a ditch. They've buried something.
Something? Or someone?
Or someone. We don't know.
Should we dig here?
Someone's trampled all over it.
Do we have a shovel? We've seized so many after all. It's just this spot here.
Yes, it's solid here. The soil here is lighter. That's the soil from deeper down, isn't it?
Will you dig?
We didn't bring anything to dig with.
Then we'll have to dig with our hands.
There are holes here.
That's from soil samples.
Exactly.
Yeah, it seems someone has tested the soil here to see what the soil layers are like.
There are geologists in this area. They carry out soil analyses and leave markings. They wanted to drive downstream on the Madeirinha.
Eles iam até subir o rio também, descer o rio,
Mas eles teriam que pedir autorização, né, do parque, não pode ir entrando.
Just a soil sample, apparently, absolutely harmless. They won't get much further on the sandy track either. The tire tracks have stopped. But a large wildcat has left fresh prints here.
There are a lot. Look, there are more over there. Do you see?
At about 4 in the afternoon, they call off the search. It doesn't make sense to continue, as they can't reach the landing strip hidden deep in the savannah before darkness sets in. Once again, the conservationists fail because of the sheer size and inaccessibility of their nature reserve. Ana Rafaela and her team cannot withdraw to the safe camp. Out here, they are left to their own devices. During survival training, they learned how to build bridges and pull cars out of mud pools in no time at all. Most of them had to survive 40 days in the jungle with just one shot of ammunition. Just as dusk falls, they reach a sandy bank. Here they will set up their night camp. The environmental police pride themselves on their mastery of the outdoors, but they also know that there are many invisible dangers in the jungle. Ana Rafaela learned everything she knows about the forest from the environmental police, she says. She was trained in marksmanship and can upsile from a helicopter. She copes well in the outdoors, but life on the edge of civilization presents her with other challenges she didn't expect.
It is not easy to survive in Amazonia. If you weren't born and grew up here, it's difficult to adapt to life here. We sacrifice a lot in order to work in Amazonia. Our families, for example. Most of us are still young, and we live very far from our families. We are here out of personal conviction, for love, but we pay a high price. We give up our old lives, yet still we are here to fight for our ideals and the well-being of all.
Pelo bem que é de todos.
And what does one talk about round the campfire, surrounded by pumas, jaguars, and alligators? Stories from the Jungle Book.
You think it's a branch breaking, but it's a wild cat.
Getting ready to jump.
When a jaguar is in pursuit, it sounds like branches breaking. You have to watch out. And if you hear it again in the forest, then it's definitely the jaguar. Imagine what it's like. He sees you, but you don't see him.
And the puma, it doesn't snarl like a jaguar. It is more related to domestic cats or the ocelot than the jaguar. So it doesn't make the same noise. It meows. It meows really quietly, like a faint whistle. You hear it and think it's a big bird, but actually it's a puma.
Lá no Iguaçu uma vez a gente teve que resgatar
The journey back to base and the rest of the team takes 9 hours. 9 hours, in which anyone who can catches up on lost sleep. On the banks, Renata was waiting with some disastrous news. A few days ago, a judge issued a temporary injunction decreeing that people could settle in the national park as of immediately.
One man said the people had promised him a plot of land if he settled on the access road.
They always do that.
He took all his possessions and carried them on his back to the park. They use these people as frontmen, as oranges.
We're devastated. We work so much. We struggle. And then we lose an area again for some minor reason. Now we have to start from the beginning again, without the prospect of success. We're swimming against the tide. As soon as we think we've saved one area, suddenly another big wave comes in and ruins everything again.
The Campos Amazónicos National Park used to be considered the most problematic protected area in the whole of Amazonia. The fact that that is no longer true is purely down to Ana Rafaela's efforts. And that is now at risk. The next morning, they set off to the illegal settlement. The temporary injunction by the judge could trigger a rush of settlers occupying the park in order to fell trees, hunt, and build houses, just like in the gold rush. Ana Rafaela knows this road. It reaches almost 30 kilometers into the park. Just 2 years ago, she made it impassable and had wooden barracks and bridges demolished. But already new wooden huts have sprung up on the side of the road. Just 2 days ago, the federal police were here. They met an unarmed man who was watching over a large quantity of groceries. Now, it's just dogs there. Seems as if it's only just been deserted.
Where's Lillian? Lillian, did you take his shotgun with you yesterday?
No, he didn't have one.
Oh, no? Look over there. Cartridges. He hid everything from you.
No, we saw the knife yesterday.
Did you punish him because of anything?
No.
We have to now because he has the weapon. There is no other way.
A shot was fired from the shotgun.
Agora ele vem correndo. Ou não, né?
Eu já tinha feito.
Ela abre aqui. Ela abre, ela quebra.
Espingarda.
Aí, põe o cartucho aí.
É muito copo, muita panela.
Fresh food, cooking utensils, and supplies for at least a dozen people. But they have all vanished without a trace.
Check in the suitcases in case you find anything else.
There's nothing hidden in the nooks and crannies of the hut. Nothing that would reveal the identity of the people. Ana Rafaela suspects that it was forced laborers.
2 anos atrás, a gente chegou aqui na primeira fiscalização.
2 years ago, we did a patrol here and found 13 people who had been kept like slaves. That often happens in Brazil. They had to clear the forest. We took them to the city and imposed a penalty. The conditions were very much like today's. Miserable working conditions, poor tents, not much to eat. It's mostly rich people that are behind it.
Where there are slaves, there are also guards, and they were well armed. The police officers find a lot of knives and ammunition. In the second hut, they discover a particularly insidious shotgun.
A hunting trap. The hunter sets it up on the road and stretches the wire. When the animal stumbles across it, it is triggered and fires. Yes, at us too. The people here have nothing to lose. One more, one less. A human life means nothing here. You have to be twice as careful.
They discover a petrol depot. It is confiscated. Weapons and logging tools are important pieces of evidence for Ana Rafaela. Down the line, they provide tangible proof against the settlers. More and more new huts appear at the end of the road. The forest fires have destroyed large areas. Obviously, the settlers wanted to destroy as much as possible, as quickly as possible. They wanted a fait accompli.
I saw something. I don't know if the heat is to blame, but I saw something moving in the forest.
In this direction? There are people there.
But they don't find anyone. Nature protection in Brazil is and remains a fight against an invisible enemy. Recently, they found a drawing of a blonde woman with a knife in her head on the wall of a sawmill. Ana Rafaela knows who it's supposed to be.
Sometimes I am scared. We don't know who is behind it, who we are taking on, and where it will all lead. We risk a lot because we are dealing with powerful people. They could do something to us, but that is a fear you can't run away from. We cannot allow ourselves to be intimidated. We must fight on, regardless of what happens. We cannot stop what we're doing out of fear.
Even if Ana Rafaela can appeal against the permission given by the judge to settle in the park, the damage already done is irreversible. Which makes it all the more important to protect the areas of the park that are intact, and to nip any possible environmental crimes in the bud. Ana Rafaela has to investigate another important lead: the hidden tin mine on the river, which he already looked for by helicopter but didn't find.
The scale of the map isn't right. It is not the same as the one on the ruler. I'll have to convert it.
They are looking for an approach to the river where the mine is thought to be. All of a sudden, a farmer boy appears on a horse. He is accompanied by his father, and he knows the area well. 2 months ago, he observed some people who wanted to go to the river.
You can't use the path.
We looked for it, but we couldn't find it.
Up there, it's all closed off.
Do you know where they wanted to take soil samples?
Back there. They said it was about 3 kilometers away from our fence, but I don't know.
And the footpath? What if we go on foot to the river?
If you want, I'll take you there.
The path obviously hasn't been used for a while. After a long march in the hot sun, they finally reach the river. There it lies, in unspoiled beauty. No water pollution, no torn up ground, no mine in sight, no sign of ore extraction. So far, the unknown intruders have only taken soil samples. Ana Rafaela has a sign put up straight away to make sure it stays that way. For her, this is an important confirmation of her work. At least it's one less battle in the fight for Amazonia, and reason to hope.
A gente acredita que a luta pela Amazônia pode ser ganha sim.
We firmly believe that we will win the fight for Amazonia. It doesn't just depend on us, but also on the government, and on people consuming more responsibly. When they buy products from Amazonia, they support our struggle. We firmly believe that. If not, we would have to give up our work.
Se não acreditasse, não estaria aqui lutando por isso.
And that is something that Ana Rafaela D'Amico will never do.